So the first thing we're going to do is test out the Amy Loves blush palette. Now I will go ahead and insert close-ups of the blush palette as well as swatches. There is a mirror in the palette, which is really nice, especially for travel. And I really love the color story of this blush palette. We have two blushes. We have Mishka and Cupid. Mishka is a baby pink, Barbie pink, and Cupid is kind of a orangey, deeper pink. And then we have two blush toppers, or what I'm actually going to use as highlight. We have Athena and Ares. Now Ares is very much more of a glittery light pink, and then Athena is a little less glittery and a little bit deeper pink. Like I said, I really like the color story of the blush palette. I like that there's a lighter blush and a deeper blush, and same goes with the glowy blush toppers or the highlights, so that it suits most skin tones. I think for me today, I'm going to use the lighter blush in the palette called Mishka. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up on my brush. Ooh. That's actually really pretty. Now it is a little bit light for my skin tone. A little bit light. If you have fair skin, if you have a lighter skin tone than me, this is going to be really beautiful on you. Now, if you have a deeper skin tone, I'm not sure that this blush would work. I feel like it would look a little bit white cast, a little bit chalky looking. And like I said, it is a little bit light for me, but it is really beautiful. I think we should go ahead and use a little bit of Cupid on top just for fun to kind of deepen that up. Oh yeah. Okay, those two layered are really beautiful. Definitely Cupid is a better shade for me, for my skin tone. I do have fair to medium skin in the summer. Right now I'm a little bit tanned, so I have more of a medium skin tone. And I did like the shade Mishka by itself, but these two layered is really beautiful. I actually really like that. And then I am immediately drawn to Ares, this more glittery blush topper or highlight shade. I'm picking that up on my highlighter brush, and I'm actually going to use that as my highlight. Ooh, that's beautiful. Look how pretty that is. Okay, I really like that as a highlight. For me, this is definitely more of a highlight shade than a blush topper shade. The shade Athena, I think you could use that as a blush topper, but this is so pretty. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it as a highlighter shade. I think the blush and the highlight is absolutely beautiful. I'll definitely give you some final thoughts at the end, but I'm really excited to jump into this eyeshadow palette. So again, this is the Adept Cosmetics and Amy Loves eyeshadow palette. There is also a mirror in this palette, and this is a cool toned pinky dream. What I appreciate with this color story is, yes, it's got some neutral mattes, mainly neutral mattes, and a lot of beautiful pinky purple shades, but she did throw in this shade Indie, which is this green blue shade. We have a blue matte, and even the deepest shade Scrunchy isn't just a typical black. It's a little bit more of a purple black. Now I will say, when I swatched this palette, the shimmers as expected swatched absolutely beautifully, absolutely perfection. The shade Lavender in the middle is so beautiful. It's this multi-chrome that shifts from blue to gold to silver to purple. We definitely are going to use that. I will say though that some of the mattes did not swatch the best. Now swatches do not tell the whole story. We know this from a lot of other eyeshadow palettes that we've reviewed here on my channel. But with the Cyborg Choir palette, it didn't swatch very well either, at least the mattes, and they didn't perform very well on the eyes. So I'm a little bit nervous about the mattes. Some of them swatched better than others, but I felt like I had to keep going in and building it up to get any color payoff in the swatch, and that's exactly what happened with the mattes in the Cyborg Choir palette. So I am crossing my fingers and my toes that that is not the case when I apply this to the eyes, because this is an expensive eyeshadow palette, and I want Adept to do better. I want their mattes to be like they used to be. Now I will say that Adept has never had my favorite matte formula. Where they shine is their shimmers, but their mattes have been good. I've been using my Adept palettes for the last couple of weeks. Some of my older palettes like Ninhydrin and the Heather Austin palette, and the mattes in those are great. So let's hope that they perform a little bit better than they swatched. But the first thing I'm going to do, as always, is prime my eyes with my MAC Paint Pot and Painterly. I always use an eyeshadow primer. This is the eyeshadow primer I always use. In my Cyberg Choir review, people were saying, oh, use a different eyeshadow base, use a white eyeshadow base, use a colored eyeshadow base. This is the base I always use. And like I said, I've never had an issue with Adept mattes until that palette. And I really don't want to put in extra work. If I'm spending $70 for an eyeshadow palette, I should be able to use the exact same eyeshadow primer I always use, even with my really affordable palettes like Shop Miss A, Dollar Tree. This is my go-to eyeshadow primer. So I'm going to use my MAC paint pot again, and let's hope, like I said, these perform better. So I'm going to start with the matte called 1997, and this is kind of a grungy, cool toned purple brown. It's actually really pretty when it's swatched. See how pretty that is? It is more of a purple based matte. It's definitely more of a mid-tone matte. There really isn't a lot of light mattes in this palette. They're more mid-tone and deep, but the great thing about mid-tone mattes is you can kind of sheer them out and get them to be a little bit lighter. So that's what I'm doing here with 1997, is I'm really going to just buff that in so that it makes the shade, so that it's a little bit lighter, even though it's a mid-toned matte. Now that was one tap into 1997, and that actually gave me quite a bit of payoff, blended out really, really nicely. I've just been going back in with this fluffy brush. This brush is actually from Melt, and just blending to diffuse out that color. And I think overall that shade performed really well. Now that is one that didn't swatch the best. Like I said, a lot of the mattes in this palette didn't swatch the best. Swatches definitely don't tell the whole story. So I'm happy that it's actually performing a little bit better than I expected once applied to the eye. Now I'm going to go into the shade Mocha, which is a little bit deeper than that shade 1997. This one has a little bit more of a cool toned gray, and I'm going to buff that right in my crease and not going above my crease, because I do want the shade 1997 to pop out above the top. The shade Mocha is applying really nice as well. This is another one I wasn't sure based on the swatches, but it's actually going on really nicely. This is a beautiful, beautiful cool toned gray, but it's giving off a little bit of a blue vibe. So I think it would be really pretty with Mia Moore and Indie, that kind of purple blue multi-chrome in the palette, and just to enhance the blue a little bit. But these two shades look really nicely blended out together. Actually really beautiful. And they went on, like I said, much better than expected, thank goodness. Now I'm going to go into the shade Scrunchy, which is one of the deeper shades. That and Billion Much, those are the two deepest mattes in the palette. I'm going to pick that up, tapping that off, and I'm going to use that to deepen up my outer corner. And this is more of a navy blue black. So it's the deepest shade, like I said, in the palette, or one of the deepest, and it looks black in the pan, but when I swatched it, it was just more of a cool toned navy. Actually a really, really beautiful color, very unique. A color I don't really have in my collection. I have navies and I have lots of blacks, lots of blues, but this cool toned navy is very unique and different, and I actually really like this. And again, it's going on very nicely, which makes me very, very happy. Sometimes these deeper shades can be a little bit patchy, especially if the matte formula isn't the best. And then back in with that fluffy brush, I'm just going to diffuse that out and blend everything together. Now looking up close, I can see the differences in those three matte shades, but they're pretty similar on the eyes. I mean, obviously this is the deepest, the crease shade is the next deepest, and then 1997 is the lightest. But like I said, all of the mattes in this palette are very, very mid-tone and deep. So when I apply them to the eye, there's not that much difference in the mattes, which I would have liked to see maybe some lighter matte so that there was a little bit more differentiation. Like even a light pink would have been really nice, since this is definitely a pink leaning palette. Always going in with that NYX glitter primer, I'm going to prime my lids, and we're gonna test out these shimmers. Now the shimmers, as always, as expected, swatched beautifully. So I'm actually really excited to try these out. I'm going to apply one shimmer with my finger, one shimmer with the brush, so that we can test out both application methods. And 1,000,000 gazillion percent I'm using lavender, which is that really pretty multi-chrome in the very middle of the palette. It's swatched so beautifully. As I was looking at it from the side, it even looks green, blue. I'm so excited for this. And I'm actually gonna focus this on about the outer 3/4 of my lid. Oh, that is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. It's so funny because as I'm applying it, it looks very, very pink, but as I move my eye, I see green, I see blue, I see silver. This is an absolutely gorgeous multi-chrome. With all the shifts in this lavender multi-chrome, you could literally swipe this on your lid and have a one and done, because this looks like I have multiple shimmer shades on and it's one shimmer shade, because it is shifting to the green, to the gold, to the blue, to the silver. It's so pretty. It's absolutely breathtaking. This shade Glam, this is a beautiful multi-chrome as well. This one is so wet to the touch. When I swatched it, I literally just tapped my finger into it. So I want to try this out on this inner portion of my lid. Look at that. It is like pure liquid silver. That is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. These shimmers are spectacular. And like I said, that's one of those really, really, really wet to the touch shimmers. I love it. I absolutely love that. Now I have to use the blue in the shade Mia Amor. It's the blue matte. I'm going to pick that up on a pencil brush and just buff that on my lower lash line. I love a good blue lower lash line in general. Look how pretty that applied. That's a beautiful blue. I'm excited to use that on my lid as one of my matte shades. And then just to bring in a little more blue, a little more purple, I'm going into the shade Indie, which is a multi-chrome, and I'm gonna buff that right on top. And that just really brings out the blue and the purple on that lower lash line. And then for inner corner highlight, I'm using Stunning. This is another really shifty shade from white to silver to blue. And I think that's going to help bring out the blue in that lower lash line. Ooh, that is stunning. That is the perfect name for this. This is a cool toned kind of baby blue shimmer. Oh, so pretty. And then back in with that big fluffy brush, no added shadow. I'm just going to do one final blend. So here is the eye look. Let me go ahead and do a liner and mascara, pop on a lippy, and I'll be back to share my thoughts on the Adept Cosmetics Amy Loves collection. So I am ready for the day. I did some liner, mascara, a lippy. I will have all of the other makeup that I'm wearing linked down below for you. I did set my face with the new e.l.f. Dewy Setting Spray. I love that setting spray so much. It's halfway gone already. I absolutely love it. And I want to share with you my first impression thoughts on the Amy Loves collection from Adept Cosmetics. So first, let's talk about the blush palette. Now, I really, like I said, love the packaging of it. I love the color story. These are blushes that are pretty unique to my collection. I also very much appreciate that there's a mirror, and I love that there's two glowy blushes, blush toppers or highlighter shades. There's a lighter pink and a deeper pink. Now, for me, like I said, the lighter pink is almost on the verge of being too light for me, but blended together, I really, really like them. But I could wear this shade on its own. I would just have to build it up, just get a little bit more opacity in the pink. And this shade, I already know I'm going to love it on its own. They blended into the skin beautifully, melted into the skin. I really love and appreciate the range in color here of the blushes. And these two blush toppers, highlighters, beautiful. I use the shade Aries, and it is the most beautiful, beautiful highlight. Again, sinks right into the skin. Absolutely love this. I'm excited to see what other highlighters, blush toppers, blushes, just complexion products in general Adept comes up with. This I actually really, really like, and I'm so excited that I picked it up. Now, moving on to the palette, I love my look. I really, really love that lavender multi-chrome in the middle. To me, that is really the star of the show, the one that's on my lids, the one that looks like I have 9 different shimmer shades on, but it's only one. I really, really love that. In fact, I love all the shimmers in this palette. I'm actually genuinely excited to use the shimmers again. There's so many beautiful shifty shades. This shade up here, Glam, that's on my inner corner, is so lovely. They're really, really nice. I really want to just I just want to pop all these shimmers on my lids. Now the mattes, like I said, there is not a big range in the mattes. I would have loved a lighter pink. We have so many pink leaning shimmers in this palette that I would have loved a lighter pink matte, just something to diffuse, something to pop in the crease, something to use as a transition. And like I said, using Mocha, 1987 and Scrunchy, there's not that much difference in the shades. If you look really up close at my crease, you know that this outer shade Scrunchy is deeper, but if you look at my crease, there's really not that much difference between 1997 and Mocha as far far as depth goes. Now, the tone of the shade is different, but the depth, they're all just really mid-tone and deep. So that's my only critique, but the mattes actually performed a lot better than I expected based on the swatches. Like I said, I was a little nervous on the swatches, but once I put them on the eyes, they're beautiful. Love Mia Amor, the blue on the lower lash line. I'm excited to use that in my crease. I used all of the mattes in the palette except for Billy and Much, and I would rate these as good. These are good mattes. Are they the best mattes I've ever used? No. Are they the good Adept mattes? Yes, which I'm so excited about because I was so disappointed with Cyborg Choir that I'm just really excited to see the good Adept mattes back. I definitely think this palette is worth the money. I love the cool toned color story, unique for Adept. I don't think Adept has any other cool toned color story, and I love a good cool tone shadow. I love a good warm tone shadow. I mean, overall, I really like the eyeshadow palette, and I'm really, really happy I bought the collection. I'm so thrilled to say that I'm happy that I bought the Amy Loves collection, and I know that I'll be getting a lot of use out of these. I bought the bundle. I believe this collection is still available. I don't know if any of the pieces are sold out. I will make sure it is linked down below for you, but I highly recommend it. I'm really excited to use these again. Really excited to use these again. And I feel this sense of Adept coming back into my life and my excitement for Adept Cosmetics again. So I'm excited for that as well. So I'm really thankful for that because Adept is one of my favorite indie brands. I just was hoping that this palette would redeem Adept for me, and it definitely did. And I can't wait for more blush and highlight palettes to come out from the brand. So let me know down below, what do you think of my look? Did you pick up this collection? What are your thoughts? I will link it in the description box with that discount code, as well as all of my favorite beauty subscription boxes, all of the other makeup I'm wearing today. If you would like to shop this look, discounts to my favorite indie brands, and come follow me on TikTok for more beauty and makeup. Way to go, Amy Loves Makeup, and way to go, Adept Cosmetics.